one of those things through experience, it's like an onion. You just start peeling back the layers, and typically, the more layers that you start to pull back, the worse it gets. Honestly, it's heartbreaking for me because I've been in like I've built my business from scratch. I went from 0 to 25 million. I've had a partner that just wiped it all off the board and had to start from scratch again. And so I understand the pain of receiving bad news. And so when I sit with somebody like that couple and I'm talking with them, and you could just see in their face the expression of concern. They saved money. They invested in their own facility versus renting from somebody else. They thought they were doing the smart thing, and all of a sudden you have a bad GC doing shoddy work, and now they're looking at this investment where they've already dumped $1 million into the building, and they're looking at potentially another 600,000 to 700,000 of all the corrections because you have to tear it all off and then go back.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey folks, welcome back to the show. Today's guest is based in Argyle, Texas, lifelong professional in the construction industry with a focus on multifamily renovations and construction defect testing. Please welcome Michael Gentile. Michael, welcome to the show.
Dylan, thank you. Pleasure to be on the show. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I always like to start off really at the top by asking folks how they got into real estate, the construction space. How'd you get started?
So I have been in the construction world the majority of my life. My father owns a landscape construction company in Westchester, New York, Gentile Landscaping, and he's owned and operated that for the last 43 years. So it's kind of something I just grew up around. My uncle owns a tile company. My godfather owns a large paving and hardscape and foundation company. And so that's something I just grew up around. And then when I graduated from high school, I wasn't huge into school, and I just started working for my father, ended up working for him for about 8 years. Realized that I loved the construction space, but I was also looking to make a move. And then I eventually moved down to Dallas in 2014 with my wife and got back into construction in the multifamily world and absolutely fell in love with it.
Walk me through the move. I've done a similar move. I've moved from Massachusetts down to San Antonio, and I didn't know I was going to be a real estate guy when I did that. So that was really a leap of faith. But walk me through the move. How did you end up getting down to Dallas? DFW.
So the standard answer I always tell everyone, which is usually a good indicator of whether I'm going to be friends with somebody, is I always tell people guns and Republicans. And I either get a chuckle or a scowl, and I find out real quick. But in actuality, I was in my mid-20s, newly married, and my wife and I, she had grown up in Frisco for a couple of years. She had her grandparents down here, and we had traveled back and forth. And I just had always loved the North Dallas area. And It actually just
Yeah.
happened more by happenstance than anything else. So my wife was actually, we're like, hey, let's maybe think about it. And then so she put a job posting out. Her job in New York saw that she was looking for jobs in Texas and fired her. And so I said, hey, why don't you just go visit your grandparents, put your resume out there, do a few interviews, and see what happens.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And so she went down there. He didn't make it to the parking lot of the second interview, and they had checked off every single box that we said, if they hit these categories, I'll pack up our life and we'll move. And so the categories were, you're going to make more money than you would in New York. You're going to, it's going to be great. And there's all this stuff that and then literally happened like that. And I called her up. And I said, great. So you're going to come back and we're going to move. And she's like, no, I start Monday. So
Oh my
2 months
gosh,
later,
I got to get down there.
yeah, 2 months later, I moved down. She was already here. We got our apartment and haven't looked back since.
I want to ask you about getting into construction in an area of the country where you have limited familiarity. You mentioned your wife's family, and she's originally from there. But your ties and all your connections were East Coast. And so going down, starting really fresh, we talked a little bit about this before hopping on here. What was that like, that first year in business in DFW?
So I was fortunate to where I moved down here. The simple thing is you don't have anyone and you just have to continuously meet. Great mentor of mine, Ed Bisananza, he taught me this thing called the 3-foot rule. And basically it's, hey, if someone's within 3 feet of you, you just say hello. How are you? What do you do? And honestly, a lot of my friends, connections have come from something similar to that, where I'm just living life and I'm having a conversation. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. I don't know if it's not going to go anywhere. It could just be a conversation where I'm just being nice to somebody for the 3 minutes that we're in a Kroger checkout line. And so a lot of contacts and connections have come that way. Actually, one of my largest customers actually came from, I had this person I was trying to meet. I'm not going to say his name, and I couldn't get a hold of him. Like it was a director of construction for a specific company, and I had called him. I had visited his office. I had cold called. I had knocked. I had visited every property he was the director of, and I actually ended up getting a chance to meet him. I was at a Home Depot in a checkout line, working for another GC at the time. And I just saw this guy had the logo on the back of his vest. And I just said, hey, you must be. And I just said the guy's name. And he turned around with this giant grin on his face. And he's like, no, but he's going to be in my construction trailer in an hour. You should come meet him. Now, I didn't realize it. This guy was notorious for practical jokes. And so he was setting me up to just embarrass the guy I was trying to meet, because the guy hates meeting new people. But I showed up to the meeting. There was 50 people for a new construction build meeting, and the guy's just chuckling in the corner. And that was the relationship to what eventually ended up being nearly $15 million in construction work over the course of 6 or 7 years. So
That ended up
a
working
lot
out.
of connections just from, just, hey, I'm Mike, or hey, who are you? So a lot of it was just that.
I want to ask you about construction defect testing. Again, talk a little bit about this before hopping on the podcast here. You explained to me a little bit about it really coming in to builds where things didn't go quite as investors would have liked. There may be some issues. And then them having to reach out to someone like yourself and say, hey, we have this issue. Can you come take a look at this?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors. and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Yeah, so I got my first taste in construction defect work when I was working for another general contractor, and actually working hand in hand with a consultant, Brent Fuller, actually. Great construction consultant if you're in the DFW area. He does a lot of new build stuff to help prevent it on the front end. But we were working on a project together, and it was balconies, doors, and windows. And as we were uncovering this work, that was not very old. It was a 8-year-old build. It should not be leaking at the way it was. The rot, the deterioration we were finding in the balconies was crazy. I mean, things to where it was ready to collapse. And so I became fascinated with, hey, why is this happening? What are the proper ways to do it? And so being immersed inside of that process and learning from really skilled consultants, engineers, architects, I was able to find a niche in the market to where I can now be an expert and come in and go, okay, hey, this is leaking because when they did this balcony to stucco transition, they reverse flashed the corners, right? Or they didn't do the proper system for a polyguard system. And so a lot of times I'll get called in, and a lot of times where construction defects happen is typically around windows, around doors, but it happens just because there's so much construction happening at such a fast pace that it's almost impossible for superintendents to go and properly inspect everything that's happening while it's happening. And then in addition to that, you have a number of unskilled trades, right? Like guys that were, like, if you really think about over the last decade, they say for every 7 skilled people that exit the construction industry, 1 person enters. You have this shift of new people that are not properly trained, they're not getting educated, and the construction's happening at such a fast pace that all that construction companies can do is, hey, go do that balcony. You saw George do it 2 weeks ago. That means you can fully waterproof a balcony today. And that's not the case. A mistake's going to happen if you're not inspecting what you expect. And so a lot of times I'll get brought in on those aspects.
I want to pivot a bit here, Michael, and ask you about what it's like to walk into some of these projects, and what are the expectations of folks who may really not know what they're dealing with? Or do they always know, like, hey, we've got this issue over here, we kind of understand how much it's going to cost to fix? Or is it very much like, hey, we think there's something going wrong here potentially, but we don't know the damage and exactly how much it's going to cost to fix. Can you tell us, exactly the ballpark that we're in? What's the variance of situations that you encounter?
Yeah, the chasm's wide. I can give you one instance. I'm working with a gentleman, actually a family there, a business here in Denton County, and they bought a building from a gentleman, or really they actually developed a building with a GC. And throughout construction, everything seemed fine. Communication was a little off, schedule wasn't that great, but ultimately they got to the end, got fed up, and they're like, hey, we just need our CO. Got the CO, and then called my company up and said, hey, I have $200,000 to finish out the punch list. At the time, I was so busy, I just sent one of my salespeople up there to go do it. And this guy he was like, hey, we need an arc fault protector. We have leaking around our baseboards. Our coping is kind of coming off. The AC is not really cooling. And so my salesperson and estimator put this bid together. They put it in front of me, and I'm reading the notes from our CRM, and I'm looking at the bid, and I'm like, this just isn't matching. Something's wrong. So I call the guy up and I go, hey, your notes say that you got your CO in October. We're in February of like 5 months later. Why are you putting $225,000 into your building?
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
And so he starts to tell me the story of what happened. And as I got to the building, it's just one of those things through experience. It's like an onion. You just start peeling back the layers. And typically, the more layers that you start to pull back, the worse it gets. And so in that instance there, it was very much like this guy had no idea. He was hoping he could spend 225 and be done with it. And as I pulled it back, I'm like, hey, your roof is not done properly. Your coping cap on your roof doesn't have a cleat system. It's actually just gutter material that they just bent over your coping. Your sticky stone was installed improperly. You have no weep screens, which is why it's leaking on the inside of your building. Your storefront glass system isn't storefront glass. It's welded steel with glass panels. So you have almost zero heat barrier, which is why your building is so hard to cool because it's 105 outside in August. In addition to that, you don't have a return air system that's properly like sucking from 70% of your open space. You have no return air in your two farthest offices, and then your system isn't large enough for your air conditioned space. And that's just what I gathered in my first hour. And so as we went through it, we start to just, yeah.
I've seen some situations like this as a distressed wholesaler where I've walked into and you peel back one layer and you're thinking, well, this is only going to be this much in renovations and rehab estimate. You take up the subfloor, there's an issue with the foundation, massive crack. Now you need to float the foundation. I mean, you compared it to the onion. I can only imagine in some of these commercial deals, in a situation like that, that's got to be a difficult conversation to have. You must have this conversation quite often.
Mm-hmm.
When you're going through that with them, right? I mean, they have to be a little bit shocked, but also a little bit, like, well, what do I do now? Like, can I even hold on to this asset type of thing?
Honestly, it's heartbreaking for me because I've been in I've built my business from scratch. I went from 0 to 25 million. I've had a partner that just wiped it all off the board and had to start from scratch again. And so I understand the pain of receiving bad news. And so when I sit with somebody like that couple and I'm talking with them and you could just see in their face the expression of concern of, hey, I just think like this is a family that took 30 years to grow a business. They saved money. They invested in their own facility versus renting from somebody else. They thought they were doing the smart thing. And all of a sudden, you have a bad GC doing shoddy work or unsupervised work. I don't know what the situation was there because I never met the guy. And now they're looking at this investment where they've already dumped $1 million into the building. And they're looking at potentially another 600,000 to 700,000 of all the corrections because you have to tear it all off and then go back. And so it's immensely distressing for those people because they just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what am I going to do? Sorry about that.
It's all right.
They're just like, hey, what am I going to do in this situation? So a lot of times I'm having to coach them through it of like, hey, I've done this. Here are the next steps. And there's obviously the litigation route. You can go down that road. And if it's large enough, there are times where I recommend it, but I've also been through litigation. And so it's one of those things where like, I know that the outcome isn't always there. And so it's one of those things of you try and get them in front of as many professionals to get the best advice possible, getting them in front of engineers first. Hey, is the building structurally sound or do we have a structural defect where this place isn't safe, right? So that's number one, life safety first. 2, comfortability, right? Clean, safe, functional. Is it functional? Can you operate in it? Or are there cosmetic things that we need to do to enhance the living situation? And so as we go through the series of people, sometimes it does end up in litigation. And sometimes they're just like, you know what? This guy's out of business. They're bankrupt. I'm just going to put the 200 grand I have into the building and I want to make it the best I can from what you believe. And then from there, we start to dissect, okay, hey, we can do these 5 things to make the building the best that it could possibly be right now. And then maybe you save for the future for the next 5 things.
Ugh. Man, I'm
It's
sitting here
hard.
having not done one of these deals and thinking about the conversations that need to be had. It's interesting because I liken real estate to book knowledge, but also really more so, especially in my job as a realtor and someone who works with investors and distressed sellers. It's more so about the connections where you're at because it's so technical. A lot of it is the knowledge, of course, but then also I'm thinking about this conversation and how truly, I mean, difficult it is on all sides. Delivering the news,
Hmm.
receiving the news, also kind of walking in and being aware that, hey, this wasn't adding up. So I got to keep a keen eye to things, and definitely needed because you can imagine if they've already put in so much money into it and then they're not getting the results that they need. Now they're having holding costs, which are incurring just keeping the place,
Yep.
upright and active, and now they got to find out, well, we got to basically double our investment. It's not good on all sides, but uh it's interesting for me to hear about because of course I'm looking at, my role is in the distress space, and we deal with this all the time on a much smaller level. On a bigger level, the problems multiply, right? So you have a bigger build, you have more
Hmm.
money, there's more leverage, but there's also more risk. Michael, we are coming up on time here, though. Where can folks go if maybe they have a difficult uh, construction that they've been dealing with, and maybe they're in the greater DFW area, they like to reach out to you, or maybe if they've just like to reach out to you, get in contact with you, and they may be in another part of the country.
Yeah. So fortunately, we operate obviously throughout the state of Texas, and I've done construction for multifamily across 13 different states with different JV partners. You could always reach us at www.exaltedcg.com, XALTEDCG.com. You can reach out to us via social media. It's at Exalted Construction Group, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, or LinkedIn, Facebook. It's the same handle across all platforms. So you can reach out to us there. My hope is this, and the reason why I'm talking on so many podcasts and really trying to get out there is my hope is that you call us the first time. The reality is, by the time I show up on the latter part, I'm the greatest advocate you could possibly have. But we do a lot of stuff on the front end where we're actually the builder, or we're actually getting into development now to do things in a proper fashion, rather than on the back end. So for us, the biggest thing is, say, we want to be a resource. We want to be able to reach out to people, walk them through the problem, and then do it with professionalism, but also with empathy because they're going through something immensely difficult.
Yeah, Michael, congrats on your success and to your continued success. And what you're doing really is an incredible niche to be in. And as a Texas licensed realtor myself, I can say that it's truly amazing to be able to connect with folks like yourself. Thank you for coming on the show here today.
Thank you for your time, and honestly, I appreciate you having me on the show.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.